This is not how I envisioned the night to end, Mr. Red, or whatever you call yourself these days. I have no idea what you could be talking about. I have surveillance footage of you at the warehouse on 35th Avenue last night, making contact with the spy outside of this organization. Now, tell me, who are you working for and why have you betrayed us? You underestimate me, detective. Is that so? I can be very persuasive, Mr. Red. Let's say I have a good way with words. Last night, one of my officers found this device at your location. We have transcripts, but only fragments. I need a name, Mr. Red. I just see words. How about I read them to you and see if it rings any bell? Heart 2. Fire 2. Star 2. What are they, Mr. Red? Clues? Coordinates? Code names? Maybe they don't mean anything. Who are you working with and what is your mission, you double-crossing traitor? Are you ready to play the game? I'm going to win, Mr. Red. I always win. You think so? All I need is a name, a code name. My real code name is Mr. Blue. No, a double agent. Yes, detective, we've been working secretly in the organization, leading a resistance group of spies ready to take you down, and we've succeeded. How? How did you do it? This is how I did it, detective, by playing the game Codenames. Hi, my name is Danny, and today I'll be reviewing the party game Codenames by Vlaada Chvatil. Oh, hang on a minute. Excuse me, can I just have a martini? Shaken, not stirred? Thanks. Sorry, where was I? Oh, Codenames is a game that pits two rival spy teams against each other, and whichever spy team can make contact with all of their agents first wins the game. Oh, thank you. Yes. Excellent. Codenames is a game designed by Vlaada Chvatil. It is published by Czech Games Edition. It is a cooperative game for 2 to 3 players and a competitive game for 4 to 8 players. It takes around 20 minutes and it's recommended for ages 14 and over. In this game, teams will work together to try and identify their agents' code names by using one-word clues given by their spymaster. In today's overview and review, I'll be looking at a 4-player game, and I will also be talking about a 2 to 3 player game, which is slightly different. Now, when you start a game, teams are going to be divided into 2 teams of roughly equal skill value, and then one person from each team will be allocated as the spy master, and that person should be good at connecting words together and coming up with clues, or it should just be anyone who volunteers, really. Each team then selects a colour, either red or blue. The spy masters for each team sit directly opposite the players of their own team on the other side of the table, and that's because they have to have access to this spy master solution card. The double agent, the red cards, the blue cards, the cream cards, and the black assassin card are placed to the side in separate piles. When you set up a game, one person needs to shuffle all of the word cards, and you'll notice that these word cards or code names are double-sided. You place them in a 5x5 grid, and that 5x5 grid correlates with this 5x5 grid here on this spy card. And what you'll notice is that there is a red colour on the outside, and that's to signify that that is the team that will start first. The first team to start the game will always use the double agent card, and you can see by the difference in the colour and the glasses on both sides of this card. Spy masters need to use the solution card in front of them to locate their spies, bystanders, spies on the opposite team, and the assassin. The colours correspond with the code names on the 5x5 grid on the operative field. The blue and red represent the two spy factions, the cream represents the bystanders, the black represents the assassin. The colour on the board of the card determines which team goes first. The first team will always have one more code name to find, 9 versus 8 names. This team will use the double agent card to begin the game. Spy masters will take it in turns to give one-word clues to their teammates so that they can make contact with spies in their own colour. Clues are given as single words and as a number. The number refers to the number of code names or words on the field the clue connects with. If a team reveals their own colour, they can continue to guess and do so up until they reach their spy master's given number limit, +1. If a spy from an opposing colour is revealed, the play immediately passes to the other team. If a teammate somehow reveals a bystander, the turn ends and the turn passes to the other team. If an assassin is revealed, the team that made contact with the assassin immediately loses the game. Now turn play continues until all of one team's spies have been revealed. The clues that spy masters give need to refer to the meaning of the words that they are trying to match. If they give an invalid clue, then their play immediately ends, passing the turn to the other team, allowing them to reveal a spy of their own colour for free. There are some firm rules that need to be followed when giving clues in this game. Spy masters are not allowed at any time to explain their clues. They can't use any words on the field as part of their clues, or use the number as a clue. They can't use any other language other than English, or use compound words or homonyms. Homonyms are words with similar sounds. So for example, night as in nighttime, and night as in the medieval character. There are some really great things to like about this game. First of all, the idea of connecting words together in this whole 007 Mission Impossible spy theme really works very well. It is a great brain development game that allows you to connect words together, and it is really fun because the suspense level is quite high, especially when playing with teams that are pitted against each other, because there's always that uncertainty of, will I reveal the spy agent from another team, or will I be revealing the assassin and therefore throwing it for my whole team and the game. So in that aspect, it really makes for a very fun and fast-paced experience. There are a few cons to this game, and the first con that I'm going to highlight is that the game doesn't really scale too well if you've only got 2 to 3 players. In a 2-player game, it's fully cooperative, where one person's the spy master, the other person is the spy team, and you're competing against the board game itself. And if you're playing with a 3-player game, one player is acting as both teams and the other 2 players are the spy masters. So in that kind of respect, the feeling of suspense and competition is kind of reduced. The other thing that can happen is that a spy master can deliberate over their clue for a very long time, especially if they're trying to string out a really big combo of, say, 4 to 5 words. So sometimes the team can just be sitting there and waiting a very long time for their spy master to come up with a clue. So the game has provided with an optional device, timer. Just fits the theme very well. So if you want to use the timer, that can raise the level of tension in the game, but also keep the game moving and not let spy masters dwell too long on their clues. Now, in terms of an educational value for this game, I can see a really big place for this in some schools. It's really good for people learning English for the first time, or people who have English as a second language. And the game can be adapted in many different ways. You could have a version where you're using pictures, you could have a version where you're using words from other languages like Italian or Greek or French, and that can really make learning a new language quite a fun thing to do. So I guess that's an area for this game to go in terms of developing. It's also a really great way of learning word etymology, so word meaning and word origins, especially if you're acting as the spy master. But if you're introducing this to a group of children for the first time, it's probably better to just have the adult play as the spy master first and the children as the agents, and then maybe swap over once they're quite familiar with the game. So in considering my final verdict for the game, there are a few questions that came up as I was exploring the game and playing the game with my game group. The first question was, how do I adapt this game for 2 players? And I thought that maybe a variant that we could all try out is that you could have 2 grids out. So 2 5x5 grids, 2 spymaster cards. In a 2-player game, the 2 players would sit opposite each other on opposite ends of the table. And what would happen is that each player would act as both spymaster and as an agent. And that means when you play the game, one person could be giving out the clues for the other person's grid, and then vice versa when the other person takes their turn. And that variant really lifts the game in terms of creating a more competitive atmosphere for a 2-player game. Haven't quite cracked the 3-player version just yet. The other thing that really intrigued me was where they got some of these words from, and whether they're just random words. Probably not, because you've got really generic words like car, and then you've got really specific words like Shakespeare. So it's quite an interesting avenue to go down in terms of where they came up with these words, and can any word just be used in Codenames. My final verdict, Codenames is a fun party game that is easily accessible by all. It's very easy to learn, and as long as the pace of the game is maintained, this should be a hit at any party. If you want to see my verdict in greater detail, check out my table at the end of the video, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Sanctuary. Thanks, see you later.